The sun was setting over a small village, casting a warm orange glow over the thatched roofs and the bustling town square. The air was filled with the sweet scent of freshly baked bread and the sound of children's laughter. In a tiny cottage on the edge of the village, a young boy named Hansel was sitting by the window, watching the stars begin to twinkle in the night sky. He was a curious boy with a mop of messy brown hair and a heart full of wonder. Hansel's sister, Gretel, was busy in the kitchen, helping their mother prepare dinner. She was a gentle soul with a kind smile and a way with words that could calm even the most troubled of minds. As she worked, she hummed a soft melody that filled the cottage with warmth and comfort. The aroma of roasting vegetables and freshly cooked rice wafted through the air, making Hansel's stomach growl with hunger. Their mother, a wise and loving woman with a face lined with kindness, was stirring a large pot of stew that simmered on the fire. She looked up at Hansel and smiled. "Soon, my dear, we will eat and then it will be time for bed." Hansel nodded, his eyes still fixed on the stars outside. He loved to listen to his mother's stories before sleep, and he knew that tonight would be no exception. As the night wore on, the family sat down to eat, sharing stories and laughter around the table. Hansel and Gretel chatted about their day, telling their mother about the games they had played and the friends they had made. The fire crackled and spat, casting a warm glow over the room, and the sound of crickets outside provided a soothing background hum. After dinner, their mother smiled and said, "Now, my dear children, it is time for bed. The moon is full, and the night is quiet, just perfect for a good night's sleep." Hansel and Gretel exchanged a sleepy glance, and their mother continued, "But before you go to bed, I have a special story to tell you. It is a story of adventure and bravery, of kindness and love." Hansel's eyes lit up with excitement, and Gretel leaned in, her eyes shining with anticipation. The room was filled with a warm, cozy atmosphere, and the sound of their mother's voice was like a gentle breeze on a summer's day. As they settled in to listen, the room grew quieter, the only sound the crackling of the fire and the soft hum of the crickets outside. The moon was rising high in the sky, casting a silver glow over the village, and Hansel and Gretel felt their eyelids growing heavy, their bodies relaxing into the warmth and comfort of the moment. Their mother's voice was like a soft blanket, wrapping them in a sense of security and peace, and they knew that they were safe, and that everything was going to be all right. Their mother's voice began to weave a gentle spell, as she told the story of a magical forest, where trees whispered secrets to each other in the wind. Hansel and Gretel listened, entranced, as their mother's words painted vivid pictures in their minds. The forest was alive with creatures, from the tiniest rabbit to the wisest old owl, and each one played a part in the story. The room was filled with the scent of blooming flowers, and the sound of a gentle stream burbled in the background, as their mother spoke. As the story unfolded, Hansel and Gretel found themselves walking alongside the characters, feeling the soft earth beneath their feet, and the warmth of the sun on their faces. They met a kind fairy, who offered them a taste of sweet, golden honey, and a gentle deer, who nuzzled their hands with her soft nose. The forest was a place of wonder, where anything was possible, and Hansel and Gretel felt their hearts fill with joy and curiosity. Their mother's voice was like a guiding light, leading them through the twists and turns of the story. She spoke of a hidden clearing, where the moon shone bright, and the stars twinkled like diamonds in the sky. In this clearing, a great tree stood tall, its branches stretching up to the heavens, and its roots digging deep into the earth. The tree was a symbol of strength and wisdom, and Hansel and Gretel felt a sense of awe wash over them as they imagined its grandeur. As the story reached its midpoint, Hansel and Gretel felt their eyelids growing heavier, but they were determined to stay awake and hear the rest of the tale. Their mother smiled, noticing their struggle, and she reached out to gently stroke their hair. "Just a little longer, my dear ones," she whispered, "the best part is yet to come." Hansel and Gretel nodded, and their mother continued, her voice dropping to a soothing whisper. The story began to wind its way towards a peaceful conclusion, as the characters in the forest came together to celebrate the full moon. They danced under the starry sky, their feet bare, and their hearts full of joy. Hansel and Gretel felt themselves swaying to the music, their bodies relaxed, and their minds at ease. The forest was a place of magic, where love and kindness filled the air, and Hansel and Gretel felt their own hearts fill with these same qualities. As the music faded away, and the dancers disappeared into the trees, Hansel and Gretel felt themselves becoming sleepy, their breathing slowing, and their bodies growing heavy. Their mother's voice was the last thing they heard, as she whispered, "And so, my dear children, it is time for you to drift off to sleep, just like the creatures in the forest. May your dreams be sweet, and your rest be refreshing." The room grew quiet, the only sound the soft hum of the crickets, and the gentle crackle of the fire. Hansel and Gretel's eyes closed, and they felt themselves being carried away on a tide of peace and tranquility. The darkness outside was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the sound of crickets provided a gentle lullaby. Hansel and Gretel's mother sat beside them, her hands still stroking their hair, as she watched them drift off to sleep. She smiled softly, feeling a sense of peace wash over her, as she gazed at her children's peaceful faces. The fire in the fireplace had burned down to embers, casting a warm, golden glow over the room. The shadows danced gently on the walls, as the flames crackled and popped, in a soothing rhythm. As the night wore on, the house grew quieter, and the only sound was the soft breathing of Hansel and Gretel. Their mother sat with them, lost in thought, as she remembered the stories of her own childhood. She recalled the countless nights she had listened to her own mother's tales, of magic and wonder, and the way they had filled her heart with joy and curiosity. She smiled, knowing that she had passed on this same gift to her children, and that they would carry it with them for the rest of their lives. The room was filled with a deep sense of calm, as the darkness outside seemed to press in gently. The stars twinkled like diamonds in the sky, and the moon cast a silver glow over the landscape. The trees stood tall and still, their leaves rustling softly in the gentle breeze. The world was at peace, and Hansel and Gretel's mother felt her own heart fill with a sense of wonder and awe. As she sat there, she began to feel her own eyelids growing heavy, and she knew it was time for her to sleep as well. She gently covered Hansel and Gretel with a soft blanket and leaned over to kiss them on the forehead. "Sleep tight, my dear ones," she whispered as she settled into her own chair beside them. The room was quiet and still as the three of them drifted off to sleep, surrounded by the peacefulness of the night. The hours passed slowly, and the darkness outside began to fade as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon. The stars disappeared, one by one, as the sky turned a soft, pale blue. The world was waking up, but Hansel and Gretel's mother and her children slept on, undisturbed. The house was quiet and still as the sun rose higher in the sky. The birds began to sing, their sweet melodies filling the air as the world came alive once more. But in the house, all was calm and peaceful. Hansel and Gretel's mother and her children slept on, surrounded by the gentle silence of the morning. The room was filled with a soft, golden light as the sun shone in through the windows. The shadows disappeared as the light grew stronger, and the world outside came alive with the sounds of nature. But in the house, all was quiet and still as the three of them slept, surrounded by the peace and tranquility of the night. And as they slept, they knew they would wake up to a new day filled with wonder and magic and the love of their family and the world around them.